Okay, hi Assel. How are you today? Great to see you for our next podcast. The topic today is why your cold emails are not working. So I'm sure you've spoken to business owners who say, we've tried it, email doesn't work. And what would you say in the case where you're giving them advice about why their emails are not working?
Email marketing is a lot complicated than it seems, and there are many different variables when it comes to doing mass cold emailing, starting from domain setup or bypassing Google's algorithm. Then you have to be very good with the data, and then comes the script part, which has to be perfect. So there are different components that you need to look into before saying cold email doesn't really work. So most common mistakes that I come across with different business owners or freelancers that are trying to do mass outreach is bypassing the Google algorithm. One of the key learnings that I have over the course of last 4 or 5 years of doing it is Google is always changing its algorithm, and you need to be on top of it. You need to learn what's working and what's not. For example, in 2023, they made a change where if you are sending any repeated link in your email body, through that they were capturing mass spam email and they were detecting it. We were used to send calendar links in our email body, and through that we were just marked as spam, and Google was onto it. So it's a very minor thing that you need to be aware of, that Google can do that. And same is with the subject lines. If your subject line is pretty generic, so there are actually about 100 plus different words that Google triggers as spam. So you need to be aware that you can't really use those words in your subject lines. If you're using that, Google is going to detect or mark your email as spam. For example, on top of my head, one word is free. So if you have anything in the subject line as free consultation or free samples, it's gonna be detected as spam right away. Same is with money. You can't really write money in the subject line. With any context, people can, if you are pitching digital marketing, maybe you can think of a subject line which has free money or free ads money, something like this. It can detect as spam, and it will just trigger the Google algorithm, and your whole campaign will be useless.
Okay, yeah, thanks. One thing I've definitely come across similar to you is companies who are just starting a cold email without any fresh domains or fresh inboxes. So I think that's one of the first things you mentioned is there's a lot of technicality to cold email, like setting up domains, warming up inboxes, things like that. And so a really big one of people just not handling the technology very well and making sure that the emails are going to land in inboxes. But it is really interesting about the trigger words, and I remember learning that as well. No dollar signs or things about money or financial figures. Is there a subject line that you prefer or notice works quite well then?
There is one, I don't want to give it on the podcast. It's a pretty generic, everybody use it. So if you just go with the quick question, it generally works really well. And one thing that I have learned, and I come across this situation a lot working with our clients, that people generally like to make subject line relevant to the email body. So whatever we are saying in our email body should reflect on the subject line, but that is not necessarily the case. Subject line is there just to get the open rate. So you need to have the subject line which can trigger person to click your email, and that's it. That's how I say it. So if just keep your subject lines very generic, engaging, and I think that's the key.
Yeah, how interesting. So simple, quick question. But yeah, I think when you think of it, like if you receive an email that says quick question, you're more likely to open it, right?
Yeah.
And then once you read it, you realize, oh, this is maybe a marketing email. Another thing that people like talk about is either personalizing the body of the email too much or not personalizing it enough. How do you find like the degree of personalization to the success of cold email?
Yeah, I can go in depth of it, but I don't want. I think it's gonna be useless. Like I said, you can't really do a very generic mass emails because Google has an algorithm which detects patterns. So if you are sending same thing over and over again, 50 prospects a day, and within a couple of weeks, Google will detect that it's a spam email or somebody's trying to run, you know, spammy stuff, and they just gonna mark you as spam, and it will definitely hurt your domain credibility. So never go generic. A lot of people does, especially with an era of Chat GPT. You can just come up with one script and just use that. It doesn't really work. You have to have the personalization, even if your messages or emails is getting delivered. Generic email won't have any impact on someone, and it's highly unlikely that you will get any engagement out of it.
Something we've said many times on this podcast is you want to say the right thing to the right people at the right time as much as possible for cold outreach. And so crafting a message that's personalized enough to them without causing you so much problem that every single one is handwritten. And yeah, nothing too salesy or too generic with too many links, and just making sure it's relevant to that person. And so many people we get on calls, always ask them, what made you come to this call? And mostly they say, oh, I got your email right at the time that we've been talking about this, so that's why I took the call. So often it's really just being able to speak to what their priority is at that time in a way that's clear to them. All right, how about like length or number of follow-ups? Do you find any kind of ideals in that situation?
Yeah, most responses that we generally get is from the follow-ups. So people doesn't really get back to us on the first email. It does happen, but not most of the times. And here at Cedar, we generally run follow-up up to 4 times. And most responses that we get is between 2 to 3. So the fourth one, we just do it to make sure that our message is sent across. But with with the number of follow-ups, you can't really do 13 or 14 follow-ups, which a lot of people suggest, especially email gurus. People are just going to your Google page and gonna give you one star if you do that. So never do follow up to 14 times. Just do it between 2 to 5 times and space them out so that nobody gets really bothered. And again, the relevancy of the follow-up data in the script should be there so that even if somebody is not interested, they can politely get back to you and decline your offer instead of just harassing them or irritating them.
That's great. I think that's super clear. And then the only other thing I would add to it is, even though you don't want to sound too salesy, you always want to make it clear if they're interested what to do. So, for example, hey, person, I notice you might struggle with this problem or want this outcome. I can probably help you. And if you're interested, we could book a call, like reply to this email. Or if you're interested, let me know and I could send you a resource. So making sure that even though you're trying not to annoy them, but you do make it clear what they can do if they want to find out more, right? Like a good call to action in the email.
Because if there
Okay.
is no clear call to action, then what's the point? Prospect doesn't even know what to do and they might not respond to you.
Yeah, that's right. The worst thing is to tell them value and then just leave it there and hope that maybe they guess like what to do. Maybe make it that they have to come and seek you out, like come to your
Yeah.
website or ask for a call or something. So I always think of it as hospitality, like make them an offer. They can say no if they don't want it, but then invite them, make sure it's clear for them what to do if they are interested. Yeah. Okay, great. I think that's all. I think in our next podcast, we might dive into what makes it successful, but thanks for your information on why cold emails are not working.
My pleasure, Jen. Thank you.